Hey guys, wanted to take a second before the game started to tell you I will be using the Lore of Fire, and for this game I'll be using my own cards, which these are what I sell online. If you haven't had a chance to see it yet, contact me at unleashedwargaming@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to give you the information and pricing, including shipping, all that stuff, if you're interested in getting some for yourself. Um, I like them a lot more than the Games Workshop cards. They're put on cardstock, then laminate them, cut them out for you. You get them ready to use, and they're very durable too. As you can see at the top, I've got the name of the spell. I have numbered the spells, so when you roll them up, which now it's if you play with the Khaine rules, you get them all. But then down at the bottom, I also have the casting values. And at the top of the spell, instead of putting it in sentence form, I have the type of spell and the range printed out for you clearly. So really speeds things up. But thanks, and I hope you enjoy the battle. Hey guys, it's Adam with Unleashed Wargaming. Got a battle report for you today. It's 1,500 points of Ogres versus 1,500 points of Chaos United, the Chaos Legions. I've played against Chaos Legions a couple times. Don't have a problem with it. I don't think it's unfair or too strong. A lot of people do, but I don't. I think it's pretty well rounded. On top of that, this was a we're using. Oh yeah, hold on. On top of that, we're playing the first time I've used the new Khaine stuff. So we'll have 4d6 magic dice. He gets the top 2d6. We completely forgot the new spells. I haven't made that lore yet, the cards, and we totally forgot about it. So we're doing all the random stuff, the rolling dice to see about how many dice you get to cast and all that, 4d6, all that good stuff. But forgot the big spells. So we'll just pretend like we're easing into it. Yeah, 1,500 points. That is a tough ogre list to make. But I think I did a pretty well-rounded list. I didn't want to go anything cheese for 1,500. I wanted to have a good, well-rounded, some magic, can fight in hand-to-hand combat, a little bit of shooting without taking two iron blasters. So this is what I came up with. This is an overlook of the board here. And I'll go into an army description when I get the close-ups. Alright, first, this is a look at Chaos starting on my left, his right. He's got a horde of, what is that? I think 30, 30 of the Plague Bearers. He's got a Herald in there, whom I have named Herald. And then he's got 3 of the Blot Flies, or Plague Drones, whatever you call them, right up there in the front of them. That little bunker there with the green and brown is a unit of Beastmen, 20 strong. He's got a level 4 Bray Shaman in there with a Lore of Beasts. Over there beside them are, looks like 5 Blight Kings. And that's his army. So, over to me. On my far left, I'll do the terrain as I go. The woods up there next to him turned out to be an abyssal forest, so everything on the board causes fear already, I think, except for the beastmen, so we just ignored it. This, however, is an Acropolis of Heroes, so it makes everything within 6 inches of it stubborn. So we'll start with the list now. That's my 3 lead belchers on the far left. This bigger unit towards the right are Iron Guts, and I have a Bruiser as my general in there, carrying the lore of, the Talisman of Preservation. And then I have a Fire Belly. It might be the first time I've ever used fire magic, but I wanted to try it out. Number 1, because I've never done it. Number 2, because I've never used a Fire Belly. Number 3, because I've made the cards and printed them for myself, and I think they look really cool. Oh, and my level 2 Fire Belly has the Hellheart, so we'll see if I can spring that out. Next to them are 3 Man-Eaters. They have additional hand weapons, and they are stubborn and have poison attacks. Next to them are 10 Noblar Trappers, and their job is to move forward and get charged, and then die quickly. Next to them is a Saber Tusk. Then I brought my Stonehorn. There's no hunter on it, just a stonehorn. Then I have three more lead belchers on this flank and another saber tusk. 21 points. Why not take two? Of course, I took all of the lore of fire. Now we are all lore masters, so I know all the spells. That's my power dice for this go. That's unusual. I'm not used to that at all. I think I rolled, 16, so I got 16 power dice for the first turn. Apparently, yeah, that's right. I forgot to take a picture during the movement, so yeah, I went back and got a picture of my everything just kind of shimmied up a little bit. I didn't want to move too far forward. I didn't want to leave my Acropolis of Heroes where I'm stubborn over there. So my cats went up, the Sabertusk went up to kind of lure him in, get him to try and move up, maybe flank charge, not flank, just try and charge me, just to lure him closer. And there's a look at this side. As you can see, everything kind of moved up. Lead Belchers moved up a little bit to get in range and get, just turn the right direction. Not much movement. First thing I did was I threw 3 dice at Fireball into these plague drones and did 2 wounds. Then I rolled a 1 on how many dice I could use for the fulminating flame cage. I wanted to throw it on some of those things up front, cause a big traffic jam, but with 1 dice and a level 2 caster, it was impossible to cast it, so I just lost a dice. Then I rolled 1 for how many dice I could use on the burning head, which, by the way, is very uncomfortable. But anyway, I rolled 1, so again, I don't get to cast that spell and just lose 1 dice. Then for piercing bolts of burning, I threw 4 dice, got it off, and what did he roll? He rolled a 1 for how many dice he could use to dispel. So it was impossible for him to dispel it. And I killed 4. That one does D3 strength 4 hits per rank of 5 or more. So got quite a few hits and killed 4 beastmen. My goal was to cause a panic test and maybe break this unit and get his magic running away. After that, I threw the same spell again, got it off a second time, and killed 5. So that's kind of cool. It's interesting being able to cast the same spell twice. I'll do a review on what I think about this Khaine magic at the end. And that's an overlook of the board after my turn 1. So magic in this has knocked 2 wounds off of a plague drone and killed, it looks like, 9 of the beastmen out of the 20. So it's kind of pretty good phase. After Chaos Movement, he moves his Blight Kings up into the forest, and we find out it is a fungal forest, whatever it's called. So now those guys will suffer from stupidity. Which our ruling on stupidity is that you're not immune to psychology unless you fail a stupidity check. We've looked in the rules. I've heard other people debate it and argue both ways. But the way I see it, and you can feel free, if you see a rule that is pretty clearly written, then by all means throw it out there and show me. But I've heard the debate all around, been on forums and looked. But the way we see it, it says you are subject to stupidity, and if you fail a test, then you're stupid and immune to psychology. Just because you're subject to stupidity doesn't mean you suffer from stupidity. You have to fail a test because you're stupid, and therefore we just play it where you're not immune to psychology unless you fail the stupidity check. So that being said, we'll move on. I don't think it really has much of a bearing on this game. I just wanted to throw that out there because we discussed it here. And I want you to feel like you're part of the game. In his magic phase, he throws Wyson's Wild Form on the, whatever they are, the plague drones. And looks like that's it. I thought he had a little bit more going on there, but no, that was all he got off. I think his first magic phase he rolled pretty low. I was actually surprised. A lot of these 4d6 rolls, we were getting like 10 dice or maybe 12. We had very few really huge magic phases. So yeah, that's how it looks at the end of my movement phase, actually, I'm seeing now. You can see my Saber Tusks run up there beside his Blight Kings, getting out of their charge arc and get into where they can see a little more. Be kind of threatening up there. This time I was able to throw 3 dice at the Fulminating Flame Cage. Got it off on these Plague Bearers to keep them in place. That apparently was the only spell I got off. The only one that mattered anyway. I don't take pictures of spells that don't do anything. These ogre lead belchers back here fire and pick off one of the flies, so good for them. It only had 1 wound left, but I mean, still, that's 1 less fly I have to deal with. There's a picture of the flies with 1 missing and their spell on them. These lead belchers over here, they opened fire and did, I think I got a picture of it. Yes, 1 wound to a Blight King, so not a great showing for them, but they were firing through cover with this forest here, so not too bad. And that's the end of my phase. That's an overlook of the board after Ogre's turn 2. Alright, Beast Chaos, he didn't move much at all, but he didn't want the Flame Cage to eat up his Plague Bears, so he didn't move them forward. The flies actually kind of moved back to shield his Beastman bunker. He didn't want to throw them out there by themselves without the Plague Bearers, so he backed them up. Then he cast Wyson's Wild Form on them again to keep them strong. Then he cast Wyson's Wild Form on the Plague Bearers. And then he cast Wyson's Wild Form on his Blight Kings. So yeah, everything just got a +1 toughness, +1 strength boost. He had enough to throw the Amber Spear. I tried to stop it, but didn't roll high enough with my dice. And, how many dice I could roll. And he killed the Saber Tusk that was furthest back. Like an idiot, I could have sworn I measured it and made sure they were more than 6 apart, but it was 5.5 inches apart, and this one failed his panic test and ran away. So, not a great showing on the Saber Tusks. Up here, okay, the Reign of Chaos chart, I have seen it in battle reports. I hate it. I think it's one of the worst things Games Workshop has put in this game. I've heard other people complain about it, but I've never really faced it myself so much. So I've never really had, too much complaint with it. But this go around, he rolls on a chart and gets a free unit of 9 Plague Bearers to put anywhere on the board facing any direction. So right away, no matter how careful I am, I suddenly have a unit of Nurgle Plague Bearers with poison attacks pop up on the board right behind my lead belchers, and I'm not a big fan of that. Alright, as you can see, I did an about phase to shoot them on that side. This is my movement phase. Everything else over here moved up. I didn't get a picture of it. As you can see, my fire belly there in the 2nd rank of the Iron Guts has a wound on him. That's from the miscast. He just took a strength 6 hit. So everybody moves forward cautiously. I'm not wanting to just go flying up there and fail some charges. So I'm staying close to the Necropolis of Heroes and letting him come forward. Because right now, with my shooting and all that, I'm trying to see if I can kind of thin his lines a little bit. And so that's what I do. I cast Fireball in the magic phase and zap 3 more of these guys back here. Then I go to cast the Burning Head, and I roll a 1 for how many dice I can throw, so I auto-fail it again. And then for the Fulminating Flame Cage, I go to cast it. I get 2 dice, but I believe I failed it. Yes, I failed it. I rolled an 8 and an 11, so that failed. Then for the Piercing Bolts of Burning, I get 1 dice when I go to cast, so I cannot cast that spell. So I auto-fail and lose another dice. And that was my magic phase. So, as you can see, that wasn't wonderful, but The people out there worried about the giant spells going off and killing everything and all that, you don't have a whole lot to worry about. Even a level 3 is going to have a hard time getting these spells off, especially when you can roll a 1 or a 2 and auto fail now. So, but again, I'll go over that at the end. I turn around with my lead belchers, open fire. You see all those dice up there above them? That's, 4, 7, 9, 10. That's 14 shots they rolled up. And I killed 2. So, wonderful showing from my lead belchers there. I'm so proud of them. Oh, and as you can see, now my Saber Tusk is way back here behind my lines. He did not rally. With a leadership 4 of all things, so he's running away. And there's an overlook of the board after his movement. He did not come forward much at all. He did charge his, way over there on the far right at the bottom, he charged his free unit of Plague Bearers into my lead belchers. Not a big fan of that. Yeah, there's a close-up of them charging the lead belchers. Then he rolls on his Reign of Chaos chart, gets the thing where every unit in my army has to roll a dice, and on the roll of a 6, they take all these strength 3 hits with no armor saves, and he rolls a 6 for my Thunder Tusk, rolls 2 6s, and there's no armor save, so I take 2 wounds that I can do nothing about. So still not liking that chart so much. Could have been worse, but putting 2 wounds on a big monster like this that I've been protecting against amber spears and all that kind of stuff, and then just to have something go off randomly, that's a little frustrating. Again, he cast Wyson's Wild Form on the Plague Bearers. And then he goes for Curse of the Leper. We don't have cards for these. So he goes for Curse of the Leper. He rolls a 1 for how many dice he can use, so he fails to get it. But then he goes with Rancid Visitation. That's a pretty ugly spell. He hits me the first time, does 4 wounds. With Ogres being toughness 4, now you tell me if this is right or not. I have a toughness 5 character in the unit, 2 of them actually. Do you go off of the highest toughness in the unit, or do you have to use the majority, like the troops are toughness 4, what I rolled there? Either way, I failed it. So, as you can see, he did 4 wounds. I'm sorry, 3. There was already 1 on that fire belly. So 3 wounds, killed a guy. I rolled a 5 and failed my check, and he killed 3 more, which is that's pretty bad. Kills 3 more, and that might be in total. Nope, it sure isn't. I failed it again, and he kills another, and puts 2 wounds on the last one, the banner there. So now, with Rancid Vegetation, with Rancid Visitation, cast 3 times, he killed my entire unit of Iron Guts and except for the banner, and he has 2 wounds. So nothing here left except for my General, Firebelly, and 1 wound left on an Ogre. So that really hurt. Over here, believe it or not, he charged me, so he gets +1. He does 3 wounds because of his poison. I can't save it because he's strength 4. I managed to do 4 wounds, so it turns out to be a tie because I did 1 more wound and he charged, so draw combat. So now my lead belches are tied up by this unit over here that he rolled up. And there's an overlook of the board after his turn. So I'm not real thrilled about the way things have gone. Nothing super cheesy, nothing like that. Don't take it wrong. I hate the fact that I'm losing a unit of lead belchers due to that. But in the entire system, Khaine magic, the rules, everything, the only thing that's bothering me so far is that chart. I really think they need to remove that. But anyway, with the way things are looking here, I decide, my big unit with all my guys just got decimated. My Thunder Tusk is, I wouldn't say he's crippled. He's got 5 wounds, but he's hurting already, and I don't want to risk him getting hit again, so I decided it's time to go in. So my Thunder Tusk charges, passes a dangerous terrain check, and slams into the Blight Kings. My Ogres charge, my General, Fire Belly, and last Ogre charge into this unit. My Man-Eaters were supposed to charge as well, but I rolled a 2 and a 1 for their charge distance, so they just kind of hang out back there with the Noblars. I mean, somebody's got to keep an eye on them anyway. In my turn, I cast the Cascading Cloak, and believe it or not, I forgot it was on them. We went to use it and did not. No, I'm sorry. No. I'm wrong. It was the Flaming Sword of Ruin that I failed to cast. Yes, I got the Cascading Fire Cloak on them. So at the end of all the magic phases, this unit will take 2d6 strength 4 hits, and that's what you're seeing back there. This turn, I think I rolled up like 4 or 5, something like that. He saved all but 2, so 2 guys died. Sorry, having trouble with my pictures there. In the close combat phase, he puts 1 more wound on me, and I think I killed 1 more of his, so draw combat again. And once again, my lead belchers are just standing back there. I can't believe, I know I'm -1 to hit, but with stomps and 6 attacks, I cannot kill these stinking things. So, there we stand. And check this out. I was so proud of this guy. I needed this. I was going to blow through the Blight Kings, hit them, do my 3d3 impact and all that good stuff, and just blow through them, kind of overrun, be back behind his lines, and that really wrecked his day, really mess him up. And look what he did. He runs up there, kills 3 of them, so that's 9 wounds done on the charge by this guy with his stomps and everything. As you can see, he took 2 wounds here from the Blight Kings, so he's on his last legs. I only got 1, but with a charge and 9 wounds, I've got him down pretty good. And he rolls 2 1s for his leadership check. He was down by 5, needed a 3. No reroll. His BSB is way over, and no, his BSB is in the gore back there, I think. I'm not sure where it is, but anyway, no, I think it's his Herald. That's right. His Herald BSB is over there in the Plague Bearer. So no reroll. Needs a 3 or less, and he rolls Insane Courage. So there we go. He's staying. My Thunder Tusk did everything I could have asked for him to do, but it just wasn't enough at the end of the day, and he's going to stick it out. Over here, I get into combat. I did a pretty good showing for myself. I was hoping to keep my Fire Belly alive and use the Hellheart in his magic phase, and I would have been in range of both of these casters. Just for the heck of it, I said, hey, roll and see what would have happened. I think he rolled a 7 on one and an 8 on the other, so it wouldn't have been terrible, but, could have been, and that's what I was going for. He kills my last Ogre Iron Gut before I could even swing because I have a great weapon. Then at simultaneous, my Fire Belly does like 2 wounds, then releases his breath weapon and kills 3 more. And then my General goes to town and kills a few more and then does his stomp. At the end, it looked like this. I had him beat, let's see, he did 3, 4, 5 of the rank, 6, and I did 9 wounds. So I had him beat by a few anyway, and they died off. But, yeah, good combat. Very bloody combat. And no, I was mistaken. I lost that fight. I went in there and did really well. I think I was down by 1 or 2. My General failed his leadership check and ran away, but he got away. He rolled a 10, and they rolled a 9 to pursue. So, yeah, they're an inch behind me, but look where it left them. Now they're stuck with flank charges and all sorts of nastiness. So I'm just going to pretend like I did that on purpose. There you go. In his turn, he charges my general. I flee. He says he's going to redirect. He fails his leadership test to redirect and has to stop right there, right in the middle of all this terrible stuff. So, looking bad, but it could go my way. His flies go into the flank of my Thunder Tusk. And over here, oh my goodness, one more combat goes off. He does 2 wounds, kills one of the ogres, puts a wound on the other. I kill 2 of his, and we stand there again. So this free unit that got called up by that chaos chart has now held up my lead belchers for 3 turns, and has all but killed him. I'm on 1 wound, and he's on 1 wound. As sad as it can be, my Thunder Tusk, as you can see, kills another Blight King, does 2 wounds to the last one there. And then the Blight Kings completely whiffed. They went for him, couldn't do the last wound. So he goes and does his damage, and then the flies managed to put 1 wound through, and they killed him. So there you have the story of the Thunder Tusk. Hated that he died. He should have blown through, killed those guys, rounded up a bunch of points, and been behind the lines. But the Insane Courage held him up, and I hate to see him go like that. In my turn, I declare a charge and land lead belchers in one flank and man-eaters in the other. He killed 1 man-eater. He got Rancid Visitation off again and killed a man-eater. But then they passed their tests, so they didn't have to take it again. So I got my charges in here. I knew he wasn't going to charge me with his bunker, so I just charged him with my Noblars. Killed 2 of the Beastmen. He killed 4 in return of mine. So I was down by 1. And, I didn't get a picture of it. I was down by 1 because he had a banner and all this stuff like that. Needed a 3 to stay, and I rolled a 3. So, not quite payback for the Insane Courage on the Blight Kings, but, it's funny anyway. I didn't get a picture of the combat apparently, but if you can look at the Plague Bearers, you'll see that they are greatly depleted. I have 1 wound on a man-eater. Looks like 2 wounds on a lead belcher, and his entire 2nd rank is gone. So that did pretty good. I know that combat ended up with me winning by 6, and so his instability killed a bunch. So if you look down in the bottom right-hand corner, his Plague Bearer smacked my lead belcher, finished him off. We're fighting simultaneous. I do my 3 attacks, hit twice, wound twice, and he saves both of them. So his 5-up ward on the demons saved the day there, but I wouldn't have gotten points for it anyway, and that's kind of sad. But yeah, so lead belchers were just wiped out down there in the bottom. In his turn, he charges the drones into the back of my man-eaters. And I don't know if I should be worried about that or not. They are stubborn, and they have poison attacks, and they have 10 attacks. So I'm going to turn around and swing at those flies. I have 10 attacks of poison, so 6s will auto-wound. 1 of them already has a wound, so he's only going to have 5 wounds back there. And I'm strength 5 as well, so may not be so bad. In his magic phase, he casts Wison's Wild Form on his bunker, if you can still call it a bunker. Then he casts Wison's Wild Form on the flies. And in the end, as you can see, I did a little bit of damage. I put another wound on a fly, missed a whole bunch, but I put a wound on the fly. I killed a couple more of his Plague Bearers, but then even though they're stubborn, they rolled a 10 for their leadership. They broke. I only lost combat by 1. As you can see, my lead belchers hung out. And then when I fled, I rolled a 2 and a 1 to flee. So he just about auto-caught me with rolling 3 dice and taking the highest 2. So he killed my man-eaters. And there's an overlook of the board. That's where we decided to call it. My general's there. I know he could have charged and possibly done some damage, but to be honest with you, it was over. It's if you figure it up, it's definitely a chaos victory. But if you figure it up, this was such a bloody game. I mean, look, his 30, what are they, plague bearers are down to, it looks like 5 plague bearers and the BSB. He lost one fly, one of the drones, and the other one has, and the second one has 2 wounds on it. His bunker of 20 beastmen is down to 3 beastmen and his shaman. His blight kings are down to 1 blight king. So that is, I mean, granted, both of my, well, one unit of lead belchers is completely dead. All my iron guts are dead. One saber tusk is dead. The other one's almost off the board at this point. And my man eaters are dead. And my noblars are dead. So at the end of this game, as far as points goes, I didn't take points off of him because none of his stuff is completely dead. He's got 1 Blight King, which is claiming those points, and then everything else still has 2 or 3 models still around, and his characters are intact. So I failed to finish off anything to where I could claim points. But you talk about a bloody game. There's not much alive on this board. To think at what we started, I was really happy with a 1,500 point game, but to look at how we started, and then to see that I have 4 models alive on the board, and he's only got, 12, maybe 12 models alive on the board. This was just a bloodbath. So it was a fun game, and now I'll do a recap. I want to do a recap on the Khaine magic. I did not at any time in this game feel like I was being overpowered or drowned out by magic. When we started the very first round, I rolled up 16 dice. I thought, that's a lot of dice to cast with. I don't know, maybe this is going to be too much. But then I rolled ones twice to see how many dice I could use to cast. So right away, 2 of my big spells, the Burning Head and the Fulminating Flame Cage, I rolled ones and couldn't even use them. So they went away. Broken concentration means I can't cast those spells a second time. And, so, it prevented me from saying, I'm going to throw 6 dice and force the spell through. And, I had a problem with it, but not such a problem that I was like, oh, this is broken and sucks and I'm not going to use it. But then I was also able to get Fireball off 2 or 3 times, and I was able to throw the piercing bolts or whatever twice, did some damage with the smaller spells, but couldn't really do much with the big spells. Okay, later in the game, I felt bad for my opponent because I was throwing 2 dice here and 2 dice there and getting these spells off, and when he goes to see how many dispel dice he can use, he rolled a 1. And so my spells were getting off. He had like 8 dice and couldn't use them to try and dispel because he kept rolling low. And so I felt, hey, it's one-sided towards, me now. But in the same manner, later in the game, he was able to cast Rancid Visitation on me and killed an entire unit of Iron Guts with it. So, yeah, it's bad, but it wasn't unbalanced. I never felt like I was throwing an excessive amount of spells. If I did, they weren't doing much damage anyway. It wasn't like I was had a machine gun that shot fireballs on him and I was just blowing his units away. It was a good, in my opinion, well-rounded. He had his bad rolls and couldn't cast, and I did too. And then we both had a couple phases where we got more off than we normally would have. I enjoyed it. Now, granted, we didn't use the giant spells, but to be honest with you, with me having a level 2, I wouldn't have been able to cast one anyway. So, oh well. So, as far as Khaine magic goes, we had originally said we're going to try it, and if it's overpowered, if it's too strong, we're going to reset the game, back up, and do it again normally, and only use Khaine magic with 4d6 and all that stuff if we're playing above 2,500 points. Because in a 1,500 point game, we were thinking, you know, hey, I'm going to throw 5 fireballs in one turn and I'm going to wipe a unit off the table. But that didn't happen. Didn't even come close, except for his Rancid Visitation, which that was my turn to not be able to dispel something. I tried and I didn't get enough. And but you know, I hit him with I think 4 fire spells in one turn, and you know, so it went both ways. Again, it wasn't completely one-sided. Does it open the door to where there's a possibility it can be one-sided? Absolutely. But I mean, yeah, you rolled 2 6s in the old 8th edition regular Magic phase, and I have 6 dice more than you. That means I can choose 2 giant spells and throw 6 dice at them and just blast you with them. But using this rules, I might get 6 dice. Excuse me. I might get 6 dice more than you go to cast it, roll a 1 for how many dice I cast, and I can't even use my big spell. I just wasted it, got broken concentration, and now, you know, you don't even have to worry about it. So yeah, it prevented me from casting just as much as it allowed me to cast. So I know other people have their opinions on it. I've only used it once, and I will play with it a couple more times before I just give my wholehearted opinion whether yes, I love it or no, I hate it. But as far as the game goes, I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, and I look forward to trying it again. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. If you see any mistakes or any ideas or tactics or anything like that, I love to see the comments, so throw them out there. Also, if you haven't seen them yet, check out my videos on my magic cards. You can just click on my channel, whether you subscribe or not, just check it. I've been making some magic cards and getting a lot of good positive feedback, and I'm loving it. It's used to be how I made a living, and now it's just something I'm doing for fun with graphics. So check it out and see what you think, and I appreciate you watching. We'll have another one up as soon as I can. Appreciate it.